So there is a lot going on the, it's not even clear whether it's fair to call it the left, but the true extremist fringe in this country, and it's not all trans people, of course, but the extremist trans fringe is a lot more threatening than most people understand. Andy Ngo has been covering Antifa for years now. He's the author of Unmasked, Inside Antifa's Radical Plan to Destroy Democracy. He's a senior editor at Post Millennial. He joins us tonight. Andy, thanks so much for coming on. So again, you don't want to get too broad brush here, but there is an extremist movement, obviously. It's very evident online in the aftermath of this mass murder. Are you surprised to see it?
No. So in my reporting on Antifa for years now, one observation that I noticed was that disproportionately the number of riot arrestees are gender diverse, and by that I mean they don't identify with their biological sex. On some nights, it was as high as 20%, and that is magnitudes higher than what the data we have on people in the wider American population who are trans-identifying. So, I looked into this a bit further. There's some peer-reviewed research out of Canada. You can find it on the Library of Medicine that shows that there's evidence that young transgender people are particularly vulnerable to violent radicalization. And in my reporting on left-wing extremism, for months now, I've documented and tracked this surge in violent rhetoric by self-identified trans militant activists, particularly on Twitter, in response to various states restricting or banning the medical transitioning of minors. As you mentioned earlier, the horrific murder of children and staff at the Christian school yesterday does come just days ahead of a so-called Trans Day of Vengeance that's being organized in the U.S. Capitol. And unfortunately, myself and other people who have reported on this and posted this flyer, which, by the way, that group is still online, if you posted the flyer, regardless of the context, you're locked out of your account. So currently, I cannot access my Twitter.
Can I ask you just a quick macro question? So one of the reasons that so many well-meaning middle-aged moms in this country have bought into support of the trans community is on the basis of the promise that it's liberation and this is kids, when they finally express their true inner identity, will be happier and better adjusted. But the incidence of violence and mental illness seems to be extraordinary. So it doesn't seem like people are being liberated. It seems like people are being tormented and driven to the brink of insanity. That, just watching, that seems clear.
It's the exact opposite of liberation. We have mountains of evidence that people who suffer from gender dysphoria also suffer from very high rates of mental health comorbidities. When you have this reality on top of people being fed cross-sex hormones and are also being in an environment where they are encouraged to have a violent hatred of wider society, and you can see this in the reaction before, during, and after this killing.
Andy Ngo, thank you for your incisive and very informed analysis of this. Appreciate it. Subscribe to the Fox News YouTube channel to catch our nightly opens, stories that are changing the world and changing your life. From Tucker Carlson tonight.